Claris, if you think about Claris, it's an agentic AI built for business based on MCT. So we are an agentic AI platform. And, Jan mentioned RAG this morning, or retrieval augmented generation. We are agentic RAG. So like basic RAG is just making a query and getting a result back. We have autonomous processes. Thank you. Autonomous processes that really act upon automation. And it was mentioned this morning about, Karina mentioned automation, data, integration, APIs. Those are all very key things. And in our platform, we employ those agents for business purposes. And I'll talk about some of those today. So one of the things I did want to mention also, we have a relatively small team, but a mighty team. We have an experienced team in enterprise software. We pulled a bunch of really smart AI researchers from university. And then we also recently, just last month, made an acquisition of NRG Edge, who was an 18-year Magnolia partner, even longer than many people here. And as part of that team, Miro's here today. So he's a 10-year Magnolia developer, and he's been helping us on the Magnolia integration pieces. So great to hear that. And I'm happy to also say that Claris is extending our partnership with Magnolia on the AI search product. So we're really happy to have that as well. So in terms of AI moving fast, Jan, you mentioned it also this morning. I have dozens of deep AI research papers that I have to get to. Right? It's like things are happening so fast. It's hard to keep up. I mean, literally, things are like massive things are happening like literally every month. And so if I was a company in technology, or even if that technology, I would be pretty concerned if I didn't really think about AI. And I think with regard to CMS, I think two things I think come to my mind. One is, do people in a couple of years really want to navigate through complex menu structures, finding what they're looking for? I think I'm permanently spoiled because I've been using AI and different things for a while now. And so when I go to a website, I don't want to look for things. I just want to just ask the question, do you have this screw that fits this thing? And can I buy it, right? And so the nature of CMS is going to change, right? And I think also the nature of SEO is going to change, right? So with the reduction of people not using Google as much, or using OpenAI, Anthropic, et cetera, we're getting into AIO, right? AI optimization, or GEO, generative optimization. And so how do you, one, create an experience for your users, for them to get what they're looking for quickly, and then how do you structure your content to be found by these AI aggregators, so that you're being found there, right? So people go to OpenAI, what's the best coffee maker? They want to click and go into your site. If you look at the amount of traffic coming from these AI agents, they're just growing every month. So some key factors there. So today we're going to be talking about our AI-powered search engine integrated with Magnolia. So I'm going to show that and do a couple demos here. So first of all, this is one example UI. So we have a default UI that we have, and then we also can customize that through Magnolia components. And so here you have a couple things. So here I asked the question, can I deploy a front end with PaaS? And so basically what we did here is we consumed actually the Magnolia DXP Cloud documentation. So I could just reference this. Here we have kind of a list of potential questions. Here's the answer. Everything is referenced, and you can click on the links there. And so here, these are AI-generated answers, right? So we have natural language processing, and then, of course, personalized search results. And we can consume anything. We can consume full document OCR, Magnolia content. We can crawl web pages, videos, et cetera. And when you think about what RAG is versus agentic RAG, so if you look at this result, there's a couple things you can do there to make it really advanced. One is something called multi-step querying, right? So what we do here is when you make a request and get an answer, we have another agent that looks at that and makes sure it's the right answer. If it's not, it's going to look for content elsewhere, otherwise it responds. We also have something called ambiguity checkers. And so if it doesn't find the information it's looking for or can't give a good answer, it's going to ask you to clarify. So if you just ask, do you have this product? It might say, well, what product do you mean? We also have things like short-term memory. So when you ask a question and you want to refer to that later, we kind of remember that within the query stack, and we can refer to it. So I'm going to show a little demo here, just not live. And so here's a query. So here I'm asking, how do I configure sticky sessions? And here's the answer that I get, right? So we consume the content. Here it gives a nice answer. It gives some code examples and so forth. And then over here on the right, these are the things. We can return images, content, whatever, and it references that, and it goes right into that particular page. Another example, so we're working with the Hartford here, and so here I'm asking the question, what business insurance do you provide? And it's giving a great answer of all the different kinds of insurance products. You can click on the different things and go into them. Versus, they're using solar. I ask the same question, and I get 3,190 links back, and not really relevant. So this is the kind of a big problem with search. Secondly, from a user engagement and interaction point of view, we have a call to action, right? So you can configure the system so if you're asking about a particular product, it can take you right into the action of that. We have knowledge exploration, which is down here. So when you ask a question, it's going to bring back related things here. And if you notice here, I asked this question in German, and it responded in German. And the Explore More here is also in German. So we do support 25 languages. And the topic of translation came up earlier, and I think it's an interesting topic because I think for your core static content, I think it's right to have proper translations and so forth. But if you're just asking simple questions that don't require necessarily perfect content, you can just have the users ask the question in whatever language that they have, and this will respond in that same language, out of the box. Even though your content might be just in plain English. And so here's a little example of that. So here I'm asking kind of a similar question about sticky sessions in French. It's going to respond in French. And the same image comes up, for example, and then I can click on the link and still go right into that particular page. And I think what will be nice here is if you had a French page, of course, it would go into that French page. Here it's only English. The other thing we have here, this is back to the Hartford. So here, somebody in Spanish, maybe in Spain, is asking about, do you have flood insurance, right? And so here it's going to give an answer about flood insurance. And it recognized that there's a call to action here about flood insurance, and you can click right onto that and go into the quotation process. And so I didn't configure it to with Spanish. It's not keyword based, it's semantic based, so it understands meaning of things. That's part of our RAG vector database, process, and it could just take you right there. And then regarding accuracy and reliability, we have very source restricted answers. So, nothing from public content will come back in the answers, right? The answers are strictly going to be for your content, right? So your content only, and then we have citations. And so if you see here, each piece of content, and I'll show you a little demo of this when I click next slide. It's going to give you kind of a reference of where it found each content, right? So a big thing in AI is explainability, right? So you want to make sure that whatever information you provide or whatever algorithms, it's explainable, right? You know where it came from, and so that's citations. And then we have guardrails, right? So guardrails will prevent anybody from getting information outside of what you specify. So here's an example of that. So here, I'm asking about how do I get support, and so here you can see there, I can hover over that. That's where the citation came from, and I can just click right there and just go right in as well. And then the next one here, I'm asking, can pigs fly? And I don't know. I don't know if they can, and our AI won't answer that either because it's not supposed to. So that's our guard railing. Lastly, we have the ability to have kind of a full screen search like I showed you, as well as our widget search. So here we have flexible search displays. Our widgets have more concise information, so you can tailor the AI to be more brief here versus in the full, and then you can kind of link to the full page. So here's a little example of that. So here I'm clicking, and this is kind of out of the box functionality here. How do I get support? It's going to answer the same question, but more briefly because of the form factor here, and then the same call to action, contact our help desk and so forth. Okay, so that's kind of on the front end. We have an administration function here, so this is the way you can configure our platform here, and so this is showing our content library here. We're fully configurable architecture, keyword-free intelligence, so everything's semantic-based. You don't have to worry about did I spell my request correctly or anything like that, and we have the ability to pull content directly out of CMS. And here's a little demo of this, right? So I'm going in here. I can go into Persona. So Persona allows you to tailor the AI, the tone, and lots of other factors like that. This is our smart content. You can go in and configure any sort of thing. Like here, it's looking for a particular topic. You can reference that image, or you can do a call to action. And here you can configure all these different things. You can configure literally interactive HTML if you want to, interactive graphs, reports, all that kind of thing. And then lastly, here's our content library. It shows you what's indexed, what's not indexed, so you can bring content in, and then you can decide what's indexed or not right in there as well. And then my last point here before I turn it over to Todd to talk about the technology behind this is our marketing intelligence. So what we do is every request that a user makes, we log it, right? So everything is logged, and then you can get insight from that. And so I think that's very powerful because when you look at, let's say, Google Analytics, right? Somebody comes to your webpage, they spend 3 minutes, they click around, they leave. Like, okay, well, did they find what they're looking for? What were they looking for? What were they thinking, right? And so here, we have the ability to capture what their intent was. Maybe they're looking for a particular product that you don't have. Maybe you're having a predominant number of people looking for a product that you don't have, and this helps you find out. So here's an interesting situation. So this is another agent that we have that looks through our content database. So here I'm asking things like, bulleted list of top results. You can look at what people are, thumbs up, thumbs down. You can filter on that. You can filter on, time frame and so forth. We have unique visitors, unique requests per person, those kinds of things. And then you can go into the requests themselves. And here I can type in a search, I can type in something like Dr. Ming. And then here it's going to find, somebody is looking for Dr. Ming. They're looking for, list all the good speakers in neurology interviewed by, Rare Revolution. That's one of our customers. And there it is. So this is our product. Todd, now I'll turn it over to you, and you'll go into some of the technology.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Again, thank you everybody for taking the time to let me present, and I appreciate it. Thank you. So as Paul mentioned, I'm going to be diving through how Claris AI is kind of architected and built under the hood a little bit. So the first slide I have here, going from left to right, you can think of these as the main Claris pillars, if you will, of the systems that it deploys. The first one being the AI engine. The purpose of that is for the data ingestion, content retrieval, LLM integration, accuracy controls. It's basically our RAG pipeline plus additional AI architecture that we have. The middle layer here, which is kind of like your middleware, that's our compliance interface. And so everything gets audit logged. This is where all the API interfaces are to interact with the system. Security permissions, all that's managed here as a central place. And then moving to the last one here is the interface, right? That's kind of the last pillar And I'm going to dive into this a little more on a diagram slide. But this allows for personalization, knowledge exploration, call to actions, as Paul mentioned, and ultimately enterprise integration with this stuff, right? So moving along here, right? So this is a high-level view of the Claris AI cloud architecture and kind of how it's built, right? So again, starting from the left there, right? Our front-end layer is all built in Next.js and React. And then requests that get made into the compliance and control layer, that's all built in .NET Core with SQL backend database. And the AI and data processing layer, that's built all on Python. And you can see down here, we use vector databases as an example in our RAG pipeline, and we use different LLMs and models to facilitate the requests. And then one last thing I wanted to point over here was, I'm not sure how to get this, oh, there we go, this thing. That's how we do data ingestion, right? So everything that you see here is all kind of managed through APIs. So the UI itself uses our API, right? So we already know it works. And then what we do is our data sources and things that we do during ingestion use the same APIs, right? So we're testing it before anyone else is, basically. Yeah, and so I would say this is it's all based off Microsoft Azure. So our cloud-based system, or kind of our SaaS-based product, if you will, is all built and hosted on Azure. So moving along here, right? So I wanted to dig a little bit into just the different AI concepts that Claris AI uses. And so, I know there was a few things earlier about this, but I have some slides to cover this in MCP. So agentic AI. What is agentic AI? It's an advanced AI system that acts autonomously, adapts in real time, and solves multi-step problems to achieve specific goals. And ideally, you're doing this with minimum human oversight or some oversight as you go so that it gets better, right? The main benefits include, it's a customizable system. You can integrate data more easily, and you can create custom actions and workflows. The typical capabilities of an agent would be live decisions for data selection and action triggers, custom integrations, and we're about to make this better with MCP, right? So, which moves me to my next one, which is, so the Claris AI is built on MCP as its main architecture around agent-to-agent communication. So MCP is an open standard launched by Anthropic in last year, 2024, to connect AI models to external data sources, tools, and other agents, right? What are the main benefits? Well, it standardizes LLM access to data, breaks down AI silos, standardizes integration, enhances context for better responses, and it's very easy to integrate with, right? You can think of the two of these as like agentic AI acts independently. MCP is what connects it to the world, right? And one last example, I think, Jan, you mentioned it, but the USB-C. You can think of like MCP like a USB-C, but for AI. It's a universal standard that ties these things together in a more efficient way. Moving along here. So now for the last part I have here, I wanted to talk about our direct Magnolia integration and how that works a little bit. So we've actually built a connector at Claris AI that works directly with Magnolia. It's all done through API integration with content types in Magnolia. We recognize the Magnolia workflows, whether published or non-published, and your AI will act accordingly. It's customizable. User interface can be customized as page templates in Magnolia. And then monitoring, right? So, we kind of do this in two ways. One is to the admin central through like a content app. And then the other one is through the cockpit that we're exploring more options with that, which I think is a very cool product, by the way. So the integration methods, right? What we have, these are kind of your typical ways, right? So for this setup, we use the scheduler service with the cron job to set up and ingest all the initial data. But then beyond that, we use like the observable or the hooks model to detect changes in Magnolia and then push that into our index in Claris AI. And so this is a little bit of how that works. And then this is kind of a little more just to show you as an example. So Claris AI will just show up as a content app. And then the prompt is embedded within Magnolia's page editors. so that when stuff gets published, it knows and then kicks it off to it. And then you can prompt within your website. So this gets embedded as a widget on your Magnolia sites, and you can edit it. And then you can prompt and ask questions, and you can manage it through the central admin. So I think with that, so thank you. So a couple things I wanted to note here. One is make sure to check us out at clarisinsight.ai. And there's a free trial if you guys sign up for this. We have some yo-yos. Make sure you get a free yo-yo. And on the back, there's a QR code that you can sign. It takes you here. And we would love it if you guys tried out the free trial. But thank you. And that's it.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. But let's see if there's any questions for the Claris team. Any questions? I actually had a question. What you were just mentioning there about the integrating into the page editor or page editor templates.
Yes.
So could you just describe that a little bit more?
Absolutely.
I'm curious.
So our Magnolia connector. So when you're designing a page, like page components, and you can manage that, and you can put our Claris widget where you can interact with your data anywhere in any page. And then when you save it, it'll show up on that page, and you can talk through that page to our AI with the Magnolia content.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So it's like probably a page component that you can place wherever you want within the
Yes,
page.
exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, great. And the other thing you mentioned, I think it was the same slide. There was something about workflow. Could you describe that a little bit more?
So the published. So we support the Magnolia unpublished and published workflow concepts in our AI. And really, with that, you can have unpublished and published data and interact with it the way you'd like through our API or through our interfaces. But it supports, so if it doesn't get published, it doesn't go to the index.
Gotcha.
Once it gets published, it goes in, and now you can interact with that data.
So I think the business use case there is, you're creating some new content. You're not sure how it's going to react to being queried through our AI, right? So you can have an endpoint that's not published, and you can test the AI there, just like you're testing content within unpublished content generated in Magnolia. And when you're comfortable with it, there you go. You publish it, and it goes to your production.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a preview.
Gotcha. Yeah, right.
And you can support workflow. You can have a workflow that says, check it in your pages, check it in the AI, all looks good, publish it.
Nice. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Any other question? We have a question back here. Yeah? Alex?
Yes, question about this boundary with or like the boundary when the user somebody asks a question to the AI about which is maybe not answered in the content. You have this question about the pick, but like an example could be like you're dealing with SSO, right? And you're asking questions about SSO, for example, and then you also start to ask questions about SSO because you needed to implement it, for example, with Magnolia, and you put the Magnolia documentation there. And so it happens that you might ask a question about the topic, which is in fact not answered by the documentation provided, but it's closely related. So how are you dealing with that? Do you then allow the common knowledge in the LLM to be used to answer that question? And
that's a very good question. And the answer is no, we don't. Okay, short answer is no, we don't. But I think it brings up an interesting point because if you think about our usage of LLM, we are using zero of the content of the LLM. We're only using it for its natural language processing, right? So when we process your request, we first go to our vector database, right? And we bring up the content and we do certain things with it. And then we present only that to the LLM and it only answers on that. And I think one point actually I didn't really mention is we also have permission-based access, right? So if you even wanted to, let's say you had different kinds of users, and we do, like in one case, we have a customer we're launching very shortly where they have two modes, right? They have kind of the widget mode, and that only supports like certain kinds of content. And then we have like the full screen mode where people have to authenticate to because they're going to have like a paywall. And so in the paywall, they have access to like every content and in the widget they only have certain content. So what we do there is we actually security trim the data before it even gets to the LLM, so there's no chance that you could ever get an answer from that content you don't have access to. So we always gather the data and have the LLM present an answer, but you never get data you don't have access to, and you never get data from the general knowledge of the LLM.
Great. We have any more questions? We've got one up here in the front. So,
repo stuff and that widget with a direct call to action. How far can I write my own widgets for certain business processes?
So do you mean like an MCP server?
Or just something like some kind of widget, let's say for interest rates, whatever, just find out it's a good interest rate. I'll commit and do it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a cool question because we actually built a demo, Jan, where we did that kind of thing, and so right now we support kind of three modes, right? So a call to action could be a button that does something, it could be an image, or it could even be like an iframe HTML, right? And so that iframe HTML could be a calculator, right? And what you could even do, so we have the ability to pass arguments into that widget, right? So let's say you asked a question, if I invest $1,000 in your 3-month CD rate, right? The LLM will pass 1,000 in 3 months into that component. That component then will return the results, and then maybe you can continue to interact with it in different ways. And so we're exploring even additional things to expand that, but right now those are the kind of the three main things we support. Yeah.
Is there an API to gather the analytics information? So you show the analytics information, and I saw it's on your site here. So can we pull this out and show it?
Absolutely.
I'll let Todd take that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you see in any of our products, we're using our own API. It's a REST-based API at the moment. We're looking at something like called GraphQL. I don't know if yeah. So that's something that's on a roadmap. We're not there yet, but yes, right now everything you see is available through the API. We do an API first development model. Yeah. So, good question.
great. Thanks. Any more questions? All right. Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, really cool. Yeah.